Hi guys, I'm actually going to try that again because it seems that my internet connection decided to just die on me right as I started this. So we're going to try our holiday hangout again. I couldn't figure out quite how to reactivate the one I had before, so I've made another one. Anyway, yeah, here we are. It's Christmas Eve in Melbourne, and I really wanted to spend some time with you so that I could answer some of the questions that you've been sending in to me. Both through YouTube, through Facebook messages, emails, and comments on the blog. There's been a lot of the usual hair and makeup questions and so on. But there was something that came through a couple of days ago, which I thought really was quite timely for Christmas. And it was somebody asking about confidence and following their dreams. So this Christmas, I wanted to tell you a little bit about I guess, where I get my confidence from and why I follow my dreams. It's funny because I think I kind of have lived my life backwards somehow. Not in a really weird Benjamin Button way, but just in a way that, when you're growing up and there's so much stuff that's expected of you, that you're supposed to go to school and get good grades and then get into university and while everyone else is traveling and partying, and then they do uni and, get a little job, and then they get a serious job and get married and have kids and all that kind of stuff. I kind of seem to be doing things backwards in that my 20s was a really serious time for me. And I didn't tend to do a lot of the traveling and partying and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I almost hit the ground running when it comes to life and took on a lot of serious stuff really quickly. I don't know whether that was the right thing to do, probably not. But it means that now I am in a position to really look back and see what I've achieved and what makes me happy and what doesn't. I think one of the things I'm most grateful for, and actually, in fact, the thing I'm most grateful for in my life has been, the internet and this blog, why I started it and what I've found through that. And what that actually comes down to is community. That's you guys. It's what you mean to me and what a difference it's made actually having this community in my life. I've moved around a lot over the years, and given that, I'm someone that doesn't tend to fit the mold and I don't always go with the status quo, it doesn't mean that things are always easy. I've had a few people write to me saying, it must be easy for you to dress the way you do, or just to live your life the way you do. And it isn't. I mean, nothing worth doing is ever easy. And I think, given that I'm a kid of the 70s, when you consider that, we really didn't have the internet back then and we were just going by what was trendy at the time, to do something outside of the box, you were really isolated. And for the most part, most children who did something really different, whether they were particularly into horses, if horses weren't fashionable, or, the kids that didn't have the latest pants or whatever the brand name hat was at the time, they would tend to be ostracized from those social groups. And it's funny because even though I was really aware of that at school, it's not something that made me change my mind. I had no interest in being part of the crowd. What had the crowd ever done for me? I lived in a completely different world, one that came from what I read and what I watched, what I saw on screen. Different characters, all of their fantasy worlds. And I was motivated so much more by the emotion in what I read and the adventure than I was by what I saw on the playground. Not by any means saying that, I didn't have friends. I had plenty of friends, but even within that, I found that I didn't necessarily belong to any one single group. You have your A crowd, your B crowd, your C crowd. I just kind of fitted across all of those because I didn't feel a great need to fit in, because I already fitted in my own little world, my world where all the characters of my books were always there every time I would open a page. I fitted in the world of the movies that I would watch. And I was, and I still am, so much more concerned with creating my own story and my own narrative than of being a part of someone else's. It seems an odd thing to be really aware of as a kid. But I don't know. Somehow I was kind of fearless. You know, you'd have the kids that would pick on you for wearing dead people's clothes, as was the way when I was in primary school. The term vintage wasn't, well, it wasn't in vogue. It wasn't invented per se. You know, I was the kid who would take my pocket money and I would go to flea markets and church boot, car boot sales. I'd go to the op shops. I'd buy anything I could get my hands on that I thought was cool. And it wasn't necessarily because it was old. It was because it fitted this picture that I had in my mind, this romance of the world that I wanted to live in. And while everyone else was, you know, dressing as Madonna or Cyndi Lauper or whatever it happened to be at the time, it held no appeal for me. My dreams were different. They were bigger. They went everywhere. You know, I didn't just want to be a pop star. I didn't just want to be, you know, a cover girl or any of those things. I wanted to be an adventurer. I wanted to write my own great stories. And somehow by finding those pieces of clothes, I was able to create these little characters, and I would wear that and I would inhabit it and create my own. So there was never a single person that I saw as a role model or someone that I wanted to be. There was no one single actress or model or anything like that that I was ever attempting to emulate. It was just cobbling together all of these pieces that held their own story and their own history, that there was something inherent in that that felt like it would enable me to unlock my own. It's funny because, you know, even as you get older and you get forced into these corners of, okay, you've got to wear a suit, you've got to go to a corporate office, whatever it might be, I would make, to some degree, exceptions for those sorts of things, but there are things within me that I can't go without, you know, things like my red lipstick. I couldn't go without something different in that space, something that allowed me to feel connected to who I am at all times. And when I talk to a lot of women who are terrified of losing themselves, or the fact that they seem to already have, that they've lost themselves in the roles that they're playing in their lives, you know, as wife, mother, sister, whatever that might be, the question I'm often asked is, well, how do I find that again? How do I get that back? For me, it was very much in just finding that spark, finding what it was that was at the heart of the story I wanted to tell. And then find someone who was willing to listen. Find someone or a community, a group, which is you guys, who wanted to hear more about it. And when I moved here to the suburbs in Melbourne, this is what seems to be the place where imagination goes to die. I mean, I really have to be honest. I think the suburbs is where imagination goes to die. So when I came out here about 9 years ago, I really needed to find a way that my own imagination wouldn't die. And that's when I started blogging for you guys. I had no idea that anyone was actually going to read what I'd put on the page here, but they did. And I think, to come back to the initial question of, you know, where do you find the confidence to be who you are? It comes through surrounding yourself with the right people. And our situations are always different. We can't necessarily physically surround ourselves with like-minded people all the time, but we're so fortunate that we live in a time where we can digitally and virtually surround ourselves with these people, and that's what you guys are. You know, if I went every day out to the shops and people just kept saying to me, my God, who is that crazy woman in the big skirt and the red lipstick? And, you know, I felt like a fish out of water all the time. That's the kind of thing that can beat down on people. And I hear quite frequently, I wish I could do this, but I'm too afraid, or I wish I could wear red lipstick, I'm too afraid. I wish I could dance, but I'm too afraid. When you surround yourself with people who think everything that you do is fantastic, then you're not afraid anymore. You just have to find that community and build each other up. So that's what you guys do for me. And that's what I hope I can do for you too, in that every little question that you ask me and all the beautiful little emails I get from people saying, geez, I wish you were my mum, which I think is just gorgeous. But it's so cool. It's really cool to have people around you who look at what you do, and whether that's, you know, pairing a pair of sequin hot pants with roller skates or whatever, that they don't look at you like you're completely mental, and instead just go, you know what, that's freaking awesome. You should be doing that. You should be dressed like a disco pirate today, because why the hell not? When you find those people in your life, keep them as close to you as you can. If they are a Facebook group, if they are on your blog, if they're on your Instagram account, anyone that sees the world even slightly through the same colored glasses that you do, keep them as close as you can, because these guys are your team. These are your best advocates. These are the people that will believe in you and inspire you every single day. And they're out there, you know. Maybe your thing is that you're completely into metal and you love wearing black every day, and you're just sick to death of every family member telling you that you need to repair the holes in your jeans or something like that. We all know that when we find our tribe, when we find that place that we belong, it helps us. It helps us to be more confident. And through being more confident, we have the opportunity to actually let out that part of ourselves that is creative, the part of ourselves that wants to make something better, the part of ourselves that wants to build things up. So, in a nutshell, my Christmas wish for you, or my holiday wish, or my, look, just general, because you should have it and it's amazing. Find your people and find them wherever you are. You know, even if you live in a tiny little village in Iceland, it doesn't matter. We have this great, wonderful thing called the internet. And yeah, you know what? It's full of trolls and haters and all that kind of stuff. But what are you going to do? There are so many things out there with so many people that not everything will be for everyone, but that doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it somehow invalidate how fabulous what you're doing is. Not everyone's going to understand it. And particularly for those of you who write to me, you know, those of you that are in high school, and I know that a lot of you vintage girls and guys are getting a really rough time, but it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it if it comes from here. And for me, that's why I've dressed like this and lived like this and been doing all of these things for as long as I have, because it comes from here. And it's impossible to live a life happily that's not an authentic one. If it doesn't come from there, and if you don't really feel it, then it's taking up really valuable emotional and mental resources that you could be using for something more productive, something that allows you to be better, to reach greater heights, to be more successful in the things that mean something to you. And I don't just mean, you know, successful in a job and making money. I mean, well, what is success to you? You can only do that when you have enough space left here to be able to stand up to life every day. So in the face of all the crap that tends to come out with the things that we come up against every day, just remember how amazing you are. And no one can change that. Don't let them change that. They have no right to. The most important thing is that you can lead by example. And even if you are one solitary candle and everyone's trying to block out that light, it's really, really important that you just keep burning, because that light will start to reflect on people around you, and they will see what comes from here. And if nothing else, people will be motivated by jealousy to wonder what the hell you've got going on that makes you so happy, that makes your creativity and your passion radiate from the inside out. It doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a place of authenticity. Now, that's not to say that we don't all have times where things are difficult. Some of my friends have had the most god-awful year this year, losing their partners in tragic accidents. And it's been really difficult to see what they've gone through. What is heartening, though, is seeing those around them, their tribe, their friends, their community, and how every single person has a piece of their own passion and love for that person to continue to build them up. Now, if we didn't make any effort to find our community, to find those people who understand our heart, we would be truly alone. And yet here we are, with the power of a keyboard at our fingertips, that we can actually find that. And it's an amazing thing. So, not to cheer your ear off about that or anything, but all I can say is, being such a chatterbox, I'm incredibly glad that I have the opportunity to put these things into words and to put these things into pictures for you, and never knowing who is actually going to be on the other end, that it might make a difference, and it might make a difference to one of you, it might make a difference to 10 of you, I have no idea. But if one thing that I can do or say or show you how I've actually gotten to where I am in my life is able to help you unlock that in you, then that's better than like the best Christmas present ever. That's just, to say it again, freaking awesome. There's a couple of other questions that people have asked me about confidence and all of those things. And I just want to say, as a last thought on that particular topic, is don't compare yourself to other people. You don't know what their journey is. You don't know what their story is, what their talents are. The only thing that you can actually change in your life, and the only thing that you can actually change in your situation, is you. What is within your control? We can't change other people. We can't change our abilities to a great degree. We can't necessarily control our environment. But if you look at what you can control, what is actually 100% in your control, it's you and your attitude, the way that we look at things. And I guess if I look at my blog and what I hope to kind of put out there with you guys, it's all about perspective. And it doesn't matter whether you have money, whether you have time, whether you have family, any of these things. It's all about how you see the world. And instead of sitting back and thinking, woe is me, I can't afford this, or nobody wants to do this with me, or that's too difficult, I get up every day and choose to see the world through my own rose-colored glasses. As crappy as some things can be, and I know I generally don't write these things on the blog, it's because I choose not to see that. I choose to see the best parts. I choose to deal with the little dramas as they come up and just move right along and not dwell on it. I would much rather look for the beauty in every day, and rather than bitching and moaning that it might be cold today, I'd rather see that as an opportunity, to hug someone warm, to take every little piece of crapness that comes your way and instead just dig and dig until you find that silver lining. So can I finish this by saying thank you so much for being my silver lining. That's what you guys are to me. So a happy every day and a merry everything.